This could be the best dash cam ever. One caveat, but could be. Find out about that. We'll do an unboxing, installation, and we'll take it for a road test, complete with actual dash cam footage. Here we go. Alrighty, so as we get into this review here, a couple things to note. This is one of the more expensive dash cams that Garmin makes. In fact, I think it is the most expensive dash cam that Garmin makes, but there's a reason for that. This particular dash cam actually has a couple features that you're not going to get on the lower end Garmin's. And of course, Garmin being a major player in both now the dash cam business, but also the GPS business. So this camera has a unique feature in that it's one of the only cameras Garmin makes that it has a front and a rear facing camera. That's why they call it the tandem. It's two cameras in one, right? So you get 280-degree lenses, one pointing front and one pointing back. Now, this one also will integrate with GPS and of course with your smartphone, and it has an option, and that's the parking mode cable. This is what you're going to need if you want to do that parking mode surveillance, meaning when your car's off, when your vehicle's off, you still have the capability to monitor what's going on. It's similar to like a Tesla in Sentry mode, if you will. So let's get into this box and let's see what's inside. So inside the box, you've got the actual dash cam itself, which honestly is remarkably small considering all the features that it has. It's going to have protective coverings over both the front and rear lens. Actually, that's the front lens. This is the rear facing lens. And it's got this cool little magnetic mount that has a partner component here so that you can attach and detach fairly easily. Inside the box, you also get two cables, a long one and a short one. You get a DC power adapter for an old school cigarette type plug with an extra USB port. So for example, if you needed to charge a phone while you were running your dash cam, you could do that. And the instructions, which are pretty thin, and a warning label, which nobody ever reads. And the instructions are pretty basic at this point. It's showing you how to clean the windshield off for preparation, where to install it, if you want to hide it behind the rear view mirror, how to do that, and also how to run that power cord around your windshield or your windscreen in the UK and keep it out of sight, like for example tucking it into the headliner and that sort of thing. Also shows you how to format the micro SD card. There is supposedly a micro SD card included. Yes, it's right here. And it comes with a 16 gig Transcend, in this case, micro SD card. It's nice that Garmin included that. On their lesser expensive cameras, they don't always include a card. So you get that as part of the high price of this camera. And then in the parking mode cable box, you're just gonna have the parking mode cable. I'll pull it open for you guys to see, and we will talk about installation on that here in just a minute. Now, this parking mode cable does require wiring to your vehicle via either the fuse panel or some always-on power. If you're not familiar with how to do that, you might want to consult a professional installer. It's not hard, but keep in mind that you do need to know which wires you're tapping into. Don't just get out your voltage tester, find a hot wire, and plug into it, because you could be tapping into some vehicle critical components and systems. For example, your airbag deployment system, your secondary restraint system, your safety system, that sort of stuff. So you need to make sure that you know what that wire goes to before you tap into it. As a good rule of thumb, I always like to use the actual wires that power the accessory ports, like the accessory port you would plug this into. So for example, the cigarette plug, that sort of thing. Those are designed to power accessories. That is their purpose. Why not tap into those directly? So up to you whether you want to use this or not. It is an optional purchase. It does not come with it. If wiring permanently is not your thing, you may want to skip that. Now let's take a look at setting up. the actual camera. All right, so after you unbox it, the first thing you're gonna wanna do, if you haven't already done it, is to install the Garmin Drive app on your smartphone. This is the same app that Garmin uses for a lot of their in-vehicle control of their devices. So you may already have it if you have other Garmin devices, but if not, you can get it. Garmin says right here, you go to garmin.com/drive app, and you can download that. It's going to take you to a link for your respective app store, whether that's Apple or Android. So get that installed first while you're getting the camera ready. So I'm going to show you how to mount this in the car. I'm going to show you what I would do, a good way to do it. Let's get inside the vehicle and let's take a look at mounting locations and the right way to set this thing up. You're going to need a couple things here to get this mounted. First, I recommend some isopropyl alcohol. This is 50%, but honestly, you're just wanting to clean with it. The percentage is less important. And a good lint-free cloth. I wouldn't use a paper towel if you can avoid it, because it's going to leave tiny paper debris on your windshield. So recommend like a lint-free or a microfiber cloth to do that. And you're going to want to pick your spot on the window. Now, in the beginning of the video, I mentioned that you could potentially hide this behind your camera, but you do need to keep in mind that there is a front and a rear camera. So if you put this completely behind your rear view mirror, you're going to lose the ability to film the back part or the back side or the back camera, or however you want to look at that. So be mindful of that. Also, a lot of modern vehicles have sensor equipment, camera equipment hidden up here behind this rear view mirror that they use for various safety, lane keep assist, that sort of stuff. So you don't want to block that. So my recommendation is, like on this one that has this little concealed column, we're going to put it just underneath that in this area right here. This is a small camera, so it's not going to take up that much space. It's not going to be that obstructive to your field of view. All right, let's get it cleaned off. Just going to pour this on. Won't take long for this to dry, but I like to go ahead and just wipe it off. The sun is right on this windshield, which is not ideal. You really should be doing this in the shade because it can affect adhesion. Okay, so we've got our camera ready to mount. Now, in the beginning of this video, I mentioned that you get an extra magnetic mount, and that is in fact what it is. It's just an extra. So we're going to set that aside for now, and we're going to mount right here. I've already cleaned off with alcohol just to make sure it's dry. And you've got to peel this, and then Garmin says hold it in place for about 30 seconds. So that's what we're going to do. And starting right now.
A few moments later.
All right, let's see if we can pull this off. Boom. Now, Garmin says leave this in place for 24 hours before you put the camera back up. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and plug this camera in and format the card, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that right now. All right, while we're waiting on that mount to dry, we're going to plug it in. I'm going to use my existing plug there. You do need to make sure that the plug, if you're not going to use the one that Garmin gives you, that it's rated at an adequate amount of amperage. Mine is, we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and plug this in, and I'm going to plug it into the side of the camera here. Okay. Now, there is a button on the bottom, and you see we have a little green light here. And what we're going to do is we're going to format the included SD card. And to do that, we hold this microphone mute button down for 8 seconds, starting now. And done. We got a little confirmation beep there, and we're good to go. Now the next thing that we want to do is we're gonna use the Garmin Drive app to set this up. That's the app that I mentioned you needed to download earlier. So we're going to go to that. It looks like this. We're going to load it up. All right. And we're going to add another device. We're going to do a dashcam series. And we're going to continue. Now I'm doing this on Android. It's going to be a fairly similar process on iOS. Searching for our dashcam. All right. hold down the save button until the LED flashes blue. So we're going to do that. It is flashing blue, and it looks like it found it. I've got a pairing request. Boom. All right, we've got to go through the verification on the personal data here. And let's go into settings, camera setup. We're good to go, but we can check the live view. I've still got the lens stickers on it, which I will probably leave on until we get it mounted, but we can just test the connection here if we want. All right. It's going to take it a minute. There it is. It's working. Okay. You can switch to interior if you want. I'm just going to see the roof of the car at this point. There we go. Yeah, okay. Let's go back to camera setup. And we're going to leave it just as it is for now. We'll talk just briefly here in a minute about a couple things that you can change. First of all, the front lens has the option of doing 1080 or 1440, and the rear facing lens has the option of doing 720, and that's at 30 frames per second. The front one can only do 30 frames per second as well. We're going to leave the data overlay on, units in time. Okay, that all looks fine. And you can also format the SD card here from the app if you wanted to. Since there's nothing on it, we'll go ahead and do that. And we can check for updates. We can do all that good stuff here while we wait. And I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I'll also mention while I'm in this Drive app that there's a little where to field. If you have these two connected, if you have a camera synced up with a Garmin GPS device, you can put in your destination, and it will send that over to your GPS device, which it tells you the next time the device connects, that destination will be sent. I don't have my GPS device connected, so it's not going to work in this case, but you do have that capability. All right, guys, so now it's time for some road test. And we are daytime right now, a few hours away from nighttime. My wife is actually about to go out, and I thought, who better to test this than an unknowing participant, although I'm sure she's going to notice this with the cord hanging down and the dash cam mounted. But we're just going to go ahead and stick it up there, and we're going to let this thing do its job. And oh, actually, I might want to pull the screen protectors off first. But then we're going to just let my wife be our willing test participant, and we're going to see how this goes. All right, so here we have example of daytime use on the front-facing camera, and you can see here, of course, any of these wide-angle cameras are going to have the fisheye lens, so you get a wide-angle view. That's just going to happen on all of them. The overlay in the bottom left area, you can turn off. Notice that it has the date, the time, as well as the GPS coordinates and your speed. And those are pretty handy in the event of a traffic incident, for example. So pretty helpful there. Let's switch to the inside camera here, and you can see this is my lovely wife. The inside camera is not as great, but we knew that and expected that coming in. It's just a lesser resolution camera. The footage on the inside and outside do get saved in separate video files on the card, by the way, if you don't use the app and you want to pull the footage directly onto a computer, for example. So this is nighttime footage, and I was blown away by how clear this footage is and that it was able to capture color. A lot of these cameras switch to nighttime mode, which is a low light mode, and they're not really able to get anything besides grayscale. And you can see the lights turn green there on one side, and you can see that they're red-ish on the other side, but that's still better than you're going to get from most nighttime cameras. Let's see what's going on the inside. Oh, hello, ladies. So we have a little bit of a different scenario on the inside. It is grayscale only, and it does this weird thing to the eyes, as you can see. and I do have their audio turned off. But they're somewhat recognizable. I don't know that that's really the point, but it looks like they're having a good time, so we'll just go with that. Back to daytime footage for one more example. This one at a little bit of a higher speed, about 45 miles an hour. Most of you are going to recognize that view. You've seen it in the movies. That is the Golden Gate Bridge. And yeah, so just to give you kind of an example of what that looks like. Also notice that when I moved this dash cam to a rental car, I didn't do a very good job of checking for that glare, which you can do in the app. There's a live view option in the smartphone app. And if I would have done that, you all would not be looking at a glare on the center of the screen, which looks like it's from a sticker on the windshield of some sort. So sorry about that, guys. But yeah, this camera is voice controlled, and I absolutely love it. Quick demo on that, and it's going to be quick because there are only 4. That's right, 4 voice commands. Here they are. Okay, Garmin, save that video. Okay, Garmin, take a picture. Okay, Garmin, record audio. Okay, Garmin, stop audio. Okay, Garmin, record audio. That's it. If you were thinking about buying one of these devices, this one in particular, but really any of them, there's a link in the description, and it would really help us out if you use that link to make the purchase. We'll get a little bit of an affiliate credit. Doesn't cost you any more. That said, this is a completely unbiased review. We paid for this equipment. It was not provided. It was not sponsored. So this is an honest review on this device, and I really love it. If you made it this far, first of all, thank you very much. And if you would consider subscribing, that would help out the channel. But also, we'll put some great links in the description, the video podcast, for example, and some other stuff. Thank you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, and there's a mosquito in here trying to eat me. Okay, Garmin, save that video.